Hello mate, welcome back. In this episode we're going to start working on our script file to turn it into an actual game. Before I get started, a huge thank you to everyone for subscribing and hitting that notification icon, that really helps me out. And of course, an even bigger thank you to my members and patrons. Your names are going to be running across the bottom of the screen at the end of the video. If you're interested in supporting the channel, by all means become a member by hitting the join button next to the subscribe button, or you can visit the Patreon in the description down below. So a little bit of housekeeping from the last episode. The first thing is that I made a couple of typos in my init variables. Firstly, I only typed location here. It's meant to be locations, so that it actually adds to the list and not a string. And then also I forgot to instantiate the class, so where I put the values in brackets wasn't wrong, but I forgot to declare that I was appending a place. So you need, if you have copied the code from the last version, then you need to put place. We're using the place class here, and you need to put an extra set of brackets there. So copy this code and you'll be all right. So we're going to go back to our script file, and at the moment, as you remember, our code doesn't really do a great deal. It simply says hi or bye, and then it'll show you the tutorial screen. So we're going to get rid of all that junk. And the first thing that we're going to do is inside our while playing loop, we're going to say window hide. We don't want that up on the screen all the time. We only want it on special occasions. Next thing we need to do is we need to set our click type variable to an empty string, so that when we call the UI, it will always give us the return the correct value. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to set a value called notification. Now, the reason we're doing this is because when we have all of this stuff on the screen, it's amazing, but as soon as we try and have any chat coming up on the screen, all of those items that we've already got are going to disappear because they're not part of the say screen. So we're actually going to make an adjustment to our say screen that will allow us to either keep all of that stuff on the screen or not. And we're going to do that by setting the notification. So if we're exploring the game world and we click on a cup, all we want is a bit of text to come up on the screen saying this is a nice cup, or words to that effect. We can say notification equals true, and then we'll keep all of the other stuff on the screen so that it appears at the very least to be seamless. Right, okay. The next thing we want to do is we want to set a value, and we want to call it this chapters hint equals hint underscore plus str chapter plus underscore plus str sequence, like that. So we've just basically told the game where to go. If you ask for a game hint, then it will set the value of the text that gets fed to it to be whatever we've put into this label, which we'll figure that out shortly, but just copy this code for now. It'll make sense later on. Next thing we want to do is we want to create another variable called auto event, and this one is going to read auto event underscore like that. That's going to be dot format, and it's going to be str chapter comma str sequence. In fact, what I think I might do is change the styling of this code as well, just to match that. Yeah, let's do that. Format str chapter comma str sequence, and then close off that bracket. There we go. That just reads a little bit nicer, doesn't it? Happy days. And we're going to just set another variable called auto event happen equals false. Cool. Nice. So if Ren'Py has, so we're going to check this this label first. So here we go. We're going to say if Ren'Py dot has underscore label. So if this label exists, this chapter's hint, call expression this chapter's hint. So just to clarify, what we're going to do is we're going to create a label called hint, and because we're in chapter 1 sequence 0, hint 1_0. In that label we're going to set the value of the hint or the tip variable. If you remember when we created the tip screen, the variable that gets passed to this screen is going to be set to a value. So let's do a case, an argument for case. So we'll go into scripts, we're going to create a new file, and we're going to call this let's call this events. No, let's call this no, we will call it events. We're going to call a new folder events. Nope, that's the wrong thing, that's a file. Let's just delete that and start again. Move to trash. Right, let's try that again. New folder, and we're going to call it events. Inside the events, we're going to create a new folder, and we're going to call it chapter 1. Expand that, and inside chapter 1 we're going to create a new file, and we're going to call this 1_0.rpy, and we're going to go label, and we're going to call this hint _1_0. Return. There we go, like so. So we've got that. So now we've got this value that's going to get passed into the screen, and we can actually set the variable in this label to actually send the right text to the screen. So we'll come back to this in a few minutes, but this is essentially how our game's going to be structured. So the next thing we want to do is we want to say if start events is not the same as an empty string, then we're going to do some stuff. Now we obviously need to create this variable, so we're going to go Control-C, going to come into our variable defines again, and we're going to go default equals an empty string. Marvelous. Now we can come back here, and now we know that that is not going to do anything at the moment, but later on it will. Then we say if Ren'Py.has_label start events, call expression start events, and then we're also going to reset start events to be an empty string, so it's only going to do it the once. Now we're going to do something similar to this in a different style, and there is a reason for that. So we're going to have auto events, and we're going to have triggered start events. And we're going to say start events are going to happen first, and there's a reason for that, is that maybe we want different automatically firing events to happen in sequence. So we can have start events here, and then we're going to have auto events afterwards. So we're going to say if Ren'Py.has_label auto event, which if you remember correctly, we've already declared up here, we've already said what the auto event is going to be. Then we're going to hit call. Actually, no, before we do anything else, we're going to say auto event happen equals true. Call expression auto event next. So the main difference between this is that this is a string that we have to declare, so we can go to a different part of the code. We could say, I can say start events equals some random label elsewhere in the code, and it will do that. If we have an auto event declared, let's say for example we have auto event _1_0, and this could be the prologue content. It will run this code, and then it will automatically go next. And if you remember, we created the next to add one to the sequence. So then we would be in file 1_1.rpy, creating events and stuff with 1_1. With me so far? Probably not, but keep going, keep with me folks, keep with me. Okay, so we've set an auto event. Now if not, oh yeah, now I'm correct, auto event happen. So if we haven't had an auto event, then we will continue on with the code. Otherwise, what follows will basically just take us straight back to the start. And there's a reason we need this bit of code in here. We don't want the game to hang once we've carried an auto event. We want to basically restart the loop, which it won't do. It will continue to run through all of this code, expecting you to click on the UI, which is the stuff that we're about to work on. So what we have to do is we have to put this in an if not auto event happen bracket, so that this stuff that follows will only happen if we haven't had an auto event. Very long-winded way of saying it, but there you go. So now we're going to say UI return equals renpy.call underscore screen brackets, and then we're going to go to our main UI file. We're just going to copy that to make sure we get it absolutely spot on, and we're going to paste that in there. Perfecto. Now this is where all of that stuff in our main UI suddenly becomes useful. So if you remember, we've got the button screen which returns different values. It will return, in fact, 2 values. It will set the click type to whatever the click type of the button is, and it will also return the name of the button that was clicked. So just as a recap, that's what we've got coming back now. So we can say if click type equals, no, let's get that correct, type equals character. So if you click on a character, then we'll say label to call equals UI return. And let's think about this. Tell you what we're going to do. Let's just stick to doing this a logical way. We want one of those, underscore, one of those, underscore, one of those. And now we can go to dot format, and the first one's going to be UI return. Next one is going to be the string of the chapter number, and then the last one is going to be the string of the sequence. Cool beans. If label to call fallback, yeah, what we'll do is we'll have a fallback. Sorry, I'm sort of thinking and coding at the same time. This is not ideal, but label to call fallback is going to be equals, and we're going to give it some curly braces, underscore blank. And so what we're going to do is we're going to create, so I'm going to add to my to-do list blank labels for fallbacks. There we go. So now we can create the label there, which we'll create in a file called fallbacks or something for every character. So if we click on the character and there isn't a label for the specific sequence and chapter that we're in, it will just go to some random statement like duh or something like that. So we need to say format UI return in there. Marvelous. We're going to say if renpy.has underscore label to call, and we're going to say call expression label to call. Next thing we're going to say elif, oops, need to make that sure that we're in the correct tab, elif renpy.has underscore label to call fallback. And I'm just going to do this the easy way now. I'm getting bored of typing that long, lengthy string name. Call expression label to call fallback. Cool beans. So the first thing we're checking when we're in our main part of the game loop, no auto event has happened this time round. So what we're checking now is if you've clicked on a character, it's going to check 2 things. It's going to check if there is a label for that character, for this sequence of this chapter, If there isn't, it's going to check if there is a blank default label for that character. And if there isn't, it's going to do nothing. Fine. Not a problem. It just means that we can create some more life in our game if we want to, or we can choose not to. So, next bit, we're going to say if click type. Hello, if click type. I can't remember if I spelled click type correctly. Let's just double check. In our button screen, click type has a capital T. Just as well I checked, isn't it? So we're going to say click type there. Marvelous. And we're going to just check that we have spelled it correctly there. Yes, we have. If click type equals item. So if we've clicked on an item instead of a character, we're going to set a couple of variables. Label to call equals da-da underscore da-da underscore da-da. Same as before. In fact, we could actually largely just copy this code. Let's just do that. And there's a reason why we're doing this separately again. This is, we might want to do things differently further down the line. If we need to change anything desperately, we can do that. But this just gives us the option of having separate functions for characters and items. So basically the same code, but the ability to be more diverse further down the line is always helpful. Next thing we're going to check is map clicks. So if click type equals nav. So we're going to have to use a Python block here, I think, for queue in locations. If UI return equals queue.name and queue.unlocked. So it's only going to do this if the location is unlocked, and if it is actually a location. Old location equals location. I'm going to do that now before I forget to. So we need to create an old location variable as well. Control C. Pop that up here. Default. And we're going to just set that. In fact, let's just Control Z. That line will. Oh no. That events equals. That's an empty string. We'll put it underneath the location just so we can get the correct default. Old location equals bedroom. Now you will notice that I've deliberately put bedroom and not my bedroom, and that's because I don't want necessarily to be accidentally appearing in the wrong place. I haven't decided where the actual start location of the game is going to be, so just for testing purposes I've left it out for now. Back to our script file. Old location equals location. Location equals UI return. So now we've got a record of where we were. We're going to change rooms and we keep a record of where we were so that we can have a back button, or we can use some functionality that says if you have changed location, then you could run an animation or make a sound or something like that if there's a difference between the two. Cool beans. elif, no, we need to go elif UI return equals queue.name and not queue.unlocked. Ren'Py call no underscore nav. So we're going to create a label called no nav. It's just going to say I can't go there, or it's locked, or something like that. That can also, we'll put that in my create a no underscore nav label. There we go, put that in our notes. So I think there's only one thing left to do in the game loop, and that's if click type equals oops, help. Put a capital H there to keep things consistent. And we're going to say label to call equals hint underscore there dot format str chapter str sequence quenth There we go. If Ren'Py has underscore label to call expression label to call. All right. There's stuff we got to do now. Basically, we're getting to the point where the game engine itself is almost complete and we need to start populating it with a lot of values. Like, so what we're saying is if you click on the help icon, then it will go to hint blah blah blah. In this case, it will go to hint 1_0, which doesn't currently do anything, but that's what we're going to work on in the next episode. So basically that's it for this one, guys. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you found that informative and entertaining. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Trust me, this is all going to start making sense very, very soon. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one, but until then, you take damn good care of yourselves. All right, bye bye.